Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Perseverance Mindset Podcast. I am your host, as you know me, John Zadsura. So today we're celebrating something extraordinary, something that's once in a lifetime, something that will probably never anybody ever experience. The next 250 years, the 250th anniversary of the greatest fighting force on God's green earth, the United States Army. We're celebrating this extraordinary day, 250 years of courage, sacrifice, and most of all, service. That's right. This year marks the 250th birthday of the United States Army. Before there was a country, there was an army. Those are the facts. From the battlefields of the Revolutionary War to the sands of Iraq and Afghanistan, the U.S. Army has stood as the backbone for American freedom and global security. And as we honor this milestone, we also honor the people behind the uniform, the men and women who've served, who've sacrificed, who've stood tall for liberty, including many in my own family, in my own community. This one's for you guys, for those men and women, and for all of us who benefit every day from their courage and sacrifice. So let's take a journey through history, through the battles, through the generations, to understand what 250 years of the greatest fighting force in the world means, and what the U.S. Army really means to all of us. So just wanted to pull some stats up here as well. It wouldn't be a show if we didn't include some great stats about our U.S. Army branch of the military. So founded June 14th, 1775 was the day by the Continental Congress, making it 250-year anniversary in the year of 2025, this year. So even before that Declaration of Independence, the Continental Congress formed this elite fighting force, Continental Army, to unify the colonies and the militias against the British forces. George Washington was appointed the commander of that army. His leadership turned farmers into fighters and eventually defeated the greatest military power of that era and time, the British Crown, the British Empire. So the legacy, the army wasn't just fighting for independence. They were defining what it meant to be an American, resilient, determined, and free. These weren't trained soldiers. A lot of these were blacksmiths. A lot of these were folks that just had local jobs in the town, everyday jobs. These were blacksmiths, teachers, farmers who risked everything to define for our nation as a group, as a people, and as a united group for our country. It wasn't just the army that breathed life into our nation. It was our national identity and who we are as a people. That's what made this elite fighting force so secure, so elite. Again, some more facts on our wonderful U.S. Army and brave men and women. So in the Revolutionary War alone, the Army side were around 35,000 Continental troops. Casualties killed in action in the Revolutionary War, around 8,000. What we did gain in losing those brave men and women was the independence from the British Crown. And I think we could all agree that was the decision that defined our nation. Moving on to the Civil War, 1861 to 1865, 2.2 million was the Army sides during that time. Casualties killed in action, 360,000 troops. Notable contributions from that campaign and conflict: preserved the Union and ended slavery in the United States. The Civil War attests not only of military strength, but of moral soul for our country. Union forces, largely composed of U.S. Army troops, fought to preserve the nation and end slavery. So going to World War I, the U.S. entered late but decisively. Army forces brought hope and power to a Europe torn apart from the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand and creating those Allied Axis powers. Going on to World War II, the Army landed on the Normandy beaches, liberated Nazi torture camps, and fought across Europe and the Pacific. Nearly 11 million Americans served in the U.S. Army during World War II. And I know the greatest generation has many stories, has many, many brave soldiers. But this group of folks is surely leaving this godly earth, and it's just a matter of time. It helped save the world from tyranny, from Nazi Germany. It would have been my dad's father that was a part of that generation. And we owe them everything. We owe them everything. We owe them everything from where we do today, the liberties, the freedoms that we have. It's the reason we're not speaking another language today. It's the reason we need to be grateful when we see these veterans, when we see these guardians of freedom, like I've spoken about when I had spoken at a Union Sons of Civil War event on a Memorial Day in 2021. The soldier and the U.S. Army is a guardian of freedom, along with the other branches of the military. Of course, we're focusing on the U.S. Army in this episode. Making our way to the Korean War, 1950 to 1953. The Army battled against the spread of communism, defending South Korea with courage, with brutal terrain. I know many people of the forgotten war have witnessed many things during that time. Those battlefields during that time, the brutal terrain in Korea, it was a crazy time for sure. Making our way to the Vietnam conflict, in the 1960s, a controversial war, but one that demanded enormous sacrifice. Army soldiers faced guerrilla warfare and a complex political climate, and still showed incredible resolve and courage. Making our way to Operation Desert Storm in 1991, the Army moved away swiftly to liberate Kuwait, showing unmatched logistical power and modern firepower. And of course, making our way to Operation Iraqi Freedom, which I've had family members that fought in this conflict and that have served many tours in Iraq and the Middle East in the role of the aftermath of the attack on the United States in 9/11. Army soldiers played a key role in dismantling terrorist networks, stabilizing regions, promoting democracy under hostile conditions, and a complete, far, and desolate place away from the homeland. So whether popular or unpopular, the American soldier, the U.S. Army soldier, doesn't get to pick their battle. They show up, they gear up, and they carry out that mission. And that's the kind of duty most people will never fully understand. And as we're discussing this, I say we take a moment right now to appreciate and to recognize our veterans, our U.S. Army veterans, and all the other branches as well, each and every day. Veterans just aren't a part of the history books or parades. They're our neighbors, our coworkers, our coaches, our family, and they're part of our communities. Many of them carry invisible scars, discipline, and perspective that most of us can only admire from their knowledge and expertise. They've endured long deployments away from their family, away from their loved ones. They've missed birthdays. They've stood in harm's way so we could speak freely and sleep peacefully in our country, in the greatest country in the world, the United States of America. When I see a veteran personally, I see someone who signed a blank check to this country with the amount up to and including their life. Nothing to do with politics about that. That's patriotism. That's kingship. That's brothership. And we owe them more than just a simple thank you one time a year. We owe them action, respect, opportunity, and remembrance. So today, as we close our episode for 250-year anniversary of the United States Army, 250 years of defending freedom, this milestone is more than a birthday. It's a moment to pause, honor, and reflect. From the muddy trenches of Valley Forge to the streets of Baghdad, the Army has fought for something bigger than all of us, the idea and soul of America. So to every veteran, every active duty soldier, and every family who has sacrificed for the stars and the stripes, this podcast, this moment, this nation, and all of our perseverance pioneers say thank you. And to you, our listeners, I challenge you to honor their legacy. Not just on this anniversary, but every single day. Learn their stories, live with purpose, and never forget that freedom is not free. Be worthy of their sacrifice. So from all of us here at the Perseverance Mindset Podcast, God bless our troops, God bless our veterans, God bless the most elite fighting force the world has ever seen, the United States Army, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.